Hello, 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 and welcome to The Social Distance, a new podcast where we take a glimpse, just a small glimpse, at what some of the things people are doing during this time of COVID-19 quarantine. I'm your host, Israel Rodriguez, and this is for MCOM 119. Hello, you guys, and welcome to the podcast. I am your host, Israel, and this is The Social Distance. Now, you can call me Izz, Scooter. That was a nickname of mine. Izzy, Scooter, Izz. You know, I'll think of a catchier name soon as we get these episodes going. Maybe you guys can give me some feedback. It's a good, fun, catchy name. This is The Social Distance. If you are like me, living in America or maybe living somewhere else right now, as of this recording, we have been told to practice social distancing because of the COVID-19 virus. Now, this might be a time of confusion or uncertainty to some of you, for many of us actually, and I just wanted to create a place for people to hang out, to have good vibes, to see that there is still kind of a whole world still going. It's just a little different for the time being. And I do think that after time has passed, we will be learning from this experience. And I think that's an awesome thing. I'm hopeful. Now, I'm aware that some of us are in occupations or situations that don't allow for the luxury of leisure or the ability to listen to this podcast. So if you are taking the time to listen to this, I just want to say thank you, and I appreciate that. So anyways, let's get to it. This is The Social Distance. I will be sharing a little bit of what I am doing during this time of quarantine, and I will be talking to two guests today. Don't worry, they are my roommates. We are all quarantined inside this house, keeping our social distance from everyone else. But we do still see each other, and I wanted to see what they're up to during this time of containment. Awesome people, very cool dudes. I can't wait for you to meet them. So today's episode's going to be a little different than future episodes. I'm going to be doing a lot of talking in the beginning, just so you guys know a little bit more about me, and then I'm going to get into the guests. So I do want to just let you know, today's going to be a little special. Go episode number 1. So I wanted to start off maybe talking a little bit about myself so you know who you're hanging out with. Kind of tell you about how I got here in not only behind the mic, but in MCOM 119 at Grossmont College. It's a pretty fun story. I like to relive it in my head. Maybe you'll like to hear it. I grew up in a small town in like the southernmost part of California, a little city called El Centro, the Imperial Valley. It was a great place. I loved it. I have my family there. There was so many memories growing up there, and I lived there until I was 17, and then I moved up to San Diego, which it was a huge difference. It was like going to a different planet. I had visited San Diego before, but living in there, going from more than just a day or two at a hotel, oh man, it was a total different thing. But I loved it. One thing I love still to this day is seeing how different people live. I quickly started going to a local college. I was taking all these classes. I was taking public transportation. That was something super new to me. There was no trolleys in El Centro, and it was really cool to be in something like that. It was something like you saw in a movie. It made me feel like I was listening to a Smith song or listening to a really cool soundtrack behind me. I really liked it. I enjoyed it. Well, at least for a little bit. Sometimes things do lose their shine, and eventually public transportation did lose a little bit of its shine for me, but it was still a fun time. I was going to school for microbiology and then ended up changing my majors to go to advertising, then communication, and just pretty much everything between all those categories. I was just learning so much, and I loved it. I got so excited to be exposed to all these new ideas. Eventually, I felt overwhelmed by taking all that, and I kind of wanted to explore just a little bit more. So I took a little break from school, and I ended up moving to Sacramento. I absolutely loved it up there. I lived there for about a year. I met some amazing people. I got to see seasons. If you live in Southern California, I think you know what I'm talking about. You don't really see a lot of seasons. Actually, I heard if you just live in California in general, you kind of are season deprived. But oh my goodness, I saw some beautiful seasons in Sacramento. At least I thought they were very beautiful. I saw so many colors, so many trees, so much grass, so much wildlife. It was really cool. I felt like I was going to be attacked by a swarm of squirrels or a squad of squirrels, or I'm not really sure what the proper term is, but it was beautiful. Even all the suspicious looking squirrels there, I had a great time. Like I said, I made the bestest of friends. I eventually did move back down to San Diego to be closer to my family. At the time, the move might have been a little confusing for me, but I am a firm believer now that life kind of puts you in situations that you need to be or that you need to go through. And at this point, it was definitely one of them. I moved back and I was closer to my family and it was all for the better. There's so much to learn in this world, and if you find something interesting that you truly like, there should be nothing to stop you from getting into it. And radio and sound was that for me. I for some reason was just not letting myself fully submerge into this sound world, this world of radio and mixing. And it was always a hobby that I kept, off to the side and if I had time for. But it always made me the happiest. I was always looking forward to learn something about audio and radio. And I signed up for classes and I'm doing it. This is really cool and I'm very glad I get to work with microphones and with people and with you guys. So, thank you for having me here. Now, aside from getting down with sound, I just like the whole creative process in general. Painting, writing, singing, dancing. I like when there is nothing there and someone makes something out of that. That's a beautiful thing. That's my stuff. Well, creating doesn't really come from nothing. Perhaps what I meant to say was nothing tangible. It comes from ideas. And those ideas are in people's heads, and you collaborate with other people or not, and you make something tangible. You make sound, you make video, you make choreography, you make paintings. It's a cool thing. So, needless to say, during this time of social distancing, I have been creating and working as well, but creating on my downtime. There are some obvious difficulties when trying to explain something I have visually created on a podcast, but I'm going to do my best anyways. I do like to draw with black ink, or I just like to draw in general, but black ink is my favorite. I think there's something so permanent, so definitive about black ink. And I like to draw a bunch of little shapes, a bunch of lines, a bunch of squiggles, and I put them together to make this big old piece. To me, it kind of reminds me of what you see when you look under a microscope. You see a colony of bacteria or a colony of just microorganisms doing their thing, making this shape, making that shape, waving this around, and you're just looking at this little glimpse of something. Altogether, it might not make sense, but it kind of does. These things are just living their life. That's kind of the art that I like to, or at least when I'm making something, I like to think I'm looking at a little microscope slide, a little random microscope slide that's showing me some sort of cool new bacteria that I've invented in my head. It sounds a lot more exciting than it may be, but that is something I've been working on, some drawings, some microscope drawings, I guess, or something. I have been doing a lot of reading. I'm currently reading a fiction book called The Illustrated Man by Ray Bradbury. It's a collection of short stories, and Ray Bradbury's a sci-fi author, so they have some sci-fi elements to them. But I think they are wonderful and have wonderful meanings, spectacular meanings, and I think they're bundled up in a really easy to read package there. And he just has a way with words, so I can go on about it. But I'm just an enthusiast of ideas, and he has a lot of them. I've been doing a lot of writing as well. I do like to write down just any ideas. I think if it's worth having, it's worth writing. It, whether it's worth showing, that's up to a different audience. But I do believe in writing things down. Currently, I'm trying to work on some story ideas for a radio play that I kind of want to do. I used to listen, or not used to, I still do listen to this radio program that is called X minus 111, and you gotta say it in that cool voice with all those sound effects. It was just this old radio show from the 50s, 60s, and it was pretty much like the Twilight Zone, but instead of TV, it was for radio, and you had all these cool, spooky stories, and you would just hear them acted out, and it was so cool. And they had to do with space, and they had to do with the great unknown, and it was pretty wicked. I really enjoy listening to the way people act them out, the sounds they make, the stories that they have to offer. It's really cool, and I enjoy that, and I kind of want to make something like that. Maybe something a little modern, or hey, maybe even give it that old vintage vibe. I'm working on stuff like that, and I think during this time of quarantine and of social distance, I'm going to be trying to push that project a little further. Maybe get some friends to help me out with some voices, get my musician friends to do some sounds for it, and me too, work on some of that stuff. I just want to get it all together, just to know that I can, and I think that's something I'm working towards during this whole social distancing. Okay, you have heard me talk for a long time. Now I'm going to get out of my room and see what my roommates, aka my guests, are up to. Alrighty. Hi, what's up, guys? It's Israel here. I ran into my living room just to meet my first guest here on The Social Distance. With me here, I got my first guest and my good friend and my roommate, Arturo. Hey, what's up, man? I just wanted to show people kind of a glimpse of this little containment, self-quarantine kind of thing, social distancing we got to put ourselves through. So I told people a little earlier what I did, and I wanted to show, people what other people are doing. So I thought I'd show everybody what my roommates are up to. So yeah, I came out here to the living room. I see you got your guitar out, all this cool looking gadgets out here. What you got going on here?
Yeah, I have my guitar running through about 5 pedals into an amp. I'm playing a Fender Jaguar, going into distortion, Ottawa, some chorus, delay and reverb, and then into about a 15-watt tube amp right here. And it's basically all the sound you'll ever need.
That's cool. I understood a little bit of that, but it sounds amazing, man. So please play some stuff for us. What's going on here?
Yeah, I was using a delay and some modulated reverb to make some ambient music. Give me a second here. Yeah, so I have my signal getting delayed, and then it's going into the shimmer. You can just really make some theatrical music.
That's some really good cloudy day music.
Yeah, very worldly.
That's wicked, man. How long have you been doing those kinds of sounds for?
I just started once I got these pedals. I've always wanted to, but I never knew how. Then once I got the pedals, it kind of just opened up doors to sounds you didn't know you were hearing, I guess. But yeah, the pedals definitely bring them to life. So whenever I got these, which was probably about 2 months ago. That's probably about 2 months, 3 months I've been working with.
Yeah, I've had friends who like are like artists and they do pencil drawings, and sometimes they'll get like paint kits and they're like, yeah, and I just started painting. If you have the tools, you just use them. This is what you're doing with this whole social distancing thing. You're just finding some sounds, or what?
Yeah,
what are you up
just
to?
taking advantage of the time, self quarantine.
Are you working like you have a mission? You got a goal with all these? You working on something?
That's a good question. I don't know. I kind of just go into it, just listening for whatever I can do. See if I can utilize them for music I'm writing. Yeah, I guess the goal is to just find tones that stick out to me,
It's cool, man.
I'm sure there's many tones that I decided not to use, or
yeah, I'm sure.
tones I kind of just venture off, or I kind of just touch up for a little bit, but they're...
Do you have all these like written down somewhere? Or?
So that's, yeah, when it comes to goals, it's, I'll definitely write those down, I found this tone right here. Then I have the delay. I use that same tone for about 3 or 4 songs. I have a band called Rank Ocean. We have about 7 songs, and about 3 of them have a similar tone, which is basically that one on my guitar. Brian, the synth guitar player, he does the same thing. So when it comes to these tones, our goal is basically to have a unified, solidified piece of music. It just has a common ground in the whole collection of songs.
Dude, that's cool, man.
So,
I didn't realize there's so much time you could put behind just a tone for a song or something like that. All right, well, I'm gonna go ahead and interview our other roommate in just a sec. But dude, if you don't mind showing us some cool sounds you've making, please do, man. Share with the world. I think a lot of us would like something cool to listen to.
Yeah, man. I'll go ahead and do that if I could just find a pick. Oh wait.
Oh, he reaches into an Altoids box. Listening to The Social Distance. You can find Arturo and his band on Instagram look under Rank Ocean, and you can hear him playing some cool sounds. So check him out if you got some time. Alright, now let's go see what my other roommate Memo is up to. What's going on? Alrighty. Good. Let's do this. Alright, guys. This is Israel here. I am here with my other roommate, Memo. My good friend, too. Memo, hey, what's up, man?
Hey, how's it going?
Hey, dude. So I just am bringing this podcast to everybody to see what's going on, what you're doing during these times of social distancing. That's the name, social distancing. Yeah, so we hung out with Arturo earlier, and now I want to see what you're up to, man. I see that you do got a lot of art all over the walls here. Go ahead and explain to us what are you doing, man? What you doing these days?
Well, I've kind of been in self quarantine already since I had a show coming up. It was supposed to be this last Saturday on the 14th, so I had not postponed. I had procrastinated procrastinated for a while.
Sometimes, yeah.
And so I had a lot of ground to make up and started making a lot of pieces and rushing them and isolating myself basically in my room just to crank stuff out. So there's not much of a difference since this came along, but lately I've been feeling kind of a little bit of cabin fever. I think I'm going to start going for walks or something just to get outside, but nothing really has changed. If anything, there's no traffic on the way to work anymore.
That's good, man. Yeah,
No
there's
traffic
a lot of,
on the way back.
a lot of things coming from this. I feel like everyone's kind of finding
and
their way through this in their own way.
it's like a good little societal reset. People are spending more time with their families, less time outside, and I don't know. There's definitely some cons. I mean, people are dying, but
yeah,
there's some limelight in
matters,
between
my bad,
in between the cracks there.
Yeah, that's good, man. It seems like you have a real good positive vibe with all this going on. I think that's awesome, dude. So yeah, your art pieces, please describe them to the people listening. They're full of color. I see things with arms and limbs that probably shouldn't be there, holding magnifying glasses and people's, and it's crazy, man. Please just, I love everything. Describe what kind of motivates you, what you're looking for, how'd you get into it all?
How I got into it, I've been painting for maybe 15 years now, maybe longer. Well, I started when I was 19, actually, so that's a lie. But it's kind of just progressed in sections. I'll paint for a while, then I won't paint, and I'll paint for a while, and then I'll just do something else. But this last series, the show was titled Super Saturated, and so I was just using a lot of color and layering and making things look kind of 2D but 3D, and I don't know, it was just fun. But there's also a story to some of the series about it's like a tribe of children that don't grow old or die, and they know the entrance of hell, and for a price they can bring people back for you, and that's what that series is about.
Dude, that's awesome, man. And this is all just through paintings and stuff, or do you have writing? Are you writing like something?
Yeah, I started writing a story. It's kind of a poem, actually. It rhymes randomly. And there's illustrations and paintings. It's going to be, I think, a little short book.
That's cool. So you're doing the art piece and a short book to go with the art piece.
Yeah.
And is this coming up in that show that got postponed a little bit? Or
it wouldn't have been ready for that, but the book will come later. That's
cool, man. That's really cool. That's cool stuff. What I did want to ask, because I for as long as I've known you, and I've known Memo for about maybe 2 years coming up, you've always been super about the arts. What got you into that, man? It totally seems like you got your own style. That's awesome. I feel like it took a long way to get that uniqueness like solid in. How'd you do that? Or what did you have any heroes you grew up with that, or?
I definitely had heroes. My mom, for one, she doesn't know a whole lot of English, and so she made money how she could, and we used to build canvases together, like put the wood together and then nail canvas, and then she'd paint on them, and then we'd sell them at the swap meet just to make some extra income. But she never really kept it up, but I've been drawing since I can remember.
Wait, so your mom too would paint with you guys, or?
Yeah, she would. Like I said, she would paint giant canvases that we'd put together ourselves.
Do you dabble in music as well? You working on any of that for the quarantine? For the
I think I'm gonna have to. Can only paint for so much before you kind of drain your juices and got to switch to something else. But yeah, I was thinking of actually making either a beat today or tomorrow.
That's cool. You ever sometimes mix the two, your music or any sounds with the work you're making? Have you ever dabbled in something like that? It seems to me you just have I've seen you have sculptures, you have paintings, you have drawings. You're kind of dabbling in a lot of sections of the art. That's any plans to
merge them?
Merge them.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of what the book is going to do. It's gonna, because I like to write poetry, so it's gonna merge poetry and art, and then I want to make an audiobook where I narrate it and add like beats to the background, just melodic, drony sounds that I can narrate with.
If I could ask, when you're not creating or if you're not working, what other hobbies you got? Like what does Memo do when he's not?
Usually watching movies or shows. I love movies. Usually have them on while I'm painting, just something to listen to. I like long, creepy movies, so I just play them in the background.
Yeah, Memo, I can attest to that. Memo definitely has a lot of long, creepy movies playing in the background. That's really cool, man. Well, I'm just going to wrap it up here. I really appreciate you talking to me, man. Is there anywhere people can find you if they want to see some of the art? See, after all this is done, want to check out some of the stuff you're doing? Is there anywhere they can find you or anything?
Yeah, pretty much just have an Instagram, hyper_helix, and that's pretty much it. I should probably make a website or something.
Oh, you'll get there, man. You have a lot of time with all this social distancing, man. You can definitely do that. All right, Memo, I appreciate you taking the time, hanging out with me and talking to me on the social distance, man. You have a good day. I'll see you later.
Yeah, sounds good.
More than likely. Have a good one, man.
Hopefully.
Alrighty, guys. Well, that is the show. Thank you for tuning in. I just wanted to show you that this is an interesting time that we're living in. Weird, maybe uncomfortable, definitely uncertain, but we all got the things that make us us, and as long as we keep doing them, I don't think we'll be defined by this moment so much. We will learn from it, and we will get stronger from it in the ways that we need to, and then we will keep doing us, but a better version of us, hopefully. I hope you enjoyed today's guests. Please check out all the cool stuff they're working on. You will not regret it. I hope you guys had a nice, easygoing time here. I'm a big fan of shows like Bob Ross and Will You Be My Neighbor? Shows that just kind of invite you to a space, let you hang out for a little bit, and then let you go and enjoy the rest of your day. Nothing too hard, easy going, and I'm hoping this was one of those spaces for you. I am Israel Rodriguez, and thank you for listening to The Social Distance. I want to give a big thank you to Andrew Tylinda for making this intro music. And a big thank you to my guests for taking time out of their day to interview with me. I appreciate that. And thank you guys for listening.